have to say thank you guys for having me. But I was thinking about this been bringing my audience through a May challenge. And so for the challenge for my audience this month, I've been challenging them to do 30 minutes minimum of cardio every single day and drinking a gallon of water. And when I started this challenge, I really just said it was April 30th, and I said, I think our audience needs a challenge. Why? Because not only does it get to hold my audience accountable to eat well, to give a damn, to move their bodies every single day, the thing that I live by, but it gives me a chance to hold myself accountable. And the first week when I started the challenge, each week I dropped a mantra that my audience would live by. And this is what made me switch gears, because we can talk about hustle, we can talk about legacy, but hustle without clarity leads to burnout, not a breakthrough. All right? Hustle without clarity leads to burnout, not a breakthrough. And if you are going to be a top tier leader, you cannot be suffering from burnout. You got to be immediately being able to shift yourself, your audience, your business, your clients into the immediate breakthrough, right? But how do we do this? It ain't the hustle, right? It's first understanding, and I want you to write this down, that average is the enemy. I said this to my audience when we first started this challenge because I said the average person doesn't work out. The average person, if they do work out, they maybe say, I work out 3 times a week. I want you to drop in the chat how many days a week you work out. Go ahead. I want you to drop in the chat how many days a week you work out. And I just want to see something, because maybe it's a little different over in Africa than it is here in America. You know what I'm saying? You know, we fighting the obesity epidemic over here. Y'all not on that over there, right? Listen, I want you to drop. It used to be 3 times a week, but now ... We got 6 days a week. Drop it in the chat. We got 0. Listen, we got 6, we got 3 times, we got twice, sometimes 3, we got 5, we got 0. Here's what the average is. What is the average if we put it together? It's gonna be 3, right? The average person's working out 3 days a week. And what I said to my audience when we started May was, if you are going to be extraordinary in your life, you gotta be living above average. You got to be doing the things the average person won't do, because the average person is going to sit in the boat of mediocrity. They will never get out and walk on water. But if you are going to be an exceptional leader, if you are going to push people out of their comfort zones, you have to first understand yourself that average is the enemy. And I started off the challenge of May with my audience saying that because I said, every time you think that you want to stop, you got to focus to say, I'm going to be above average. Average is the enemy. Every time you want to give up, every time you want to fall back into your comfort zone, what do you have to remind yourself? You got to remind yourself that average is the enemy, because the average person is doing 3. Well, baby, I don't want to be average. If the average person is doing 3, I want to do everything that the average person is not doing, because I want an above average life. I want to have extraordinary success. And so in order to have that, that means I have to first lock in my mind that average is the enemy. Now, when we talk about winning, how many of us can point to winners, right? We can look at sports and we can talk about winners, right? Here's what I want you to understand about winning. Winning is deliberate. Winning is deliberate. Winning is strategic. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady did not walk onto a field and say, maybe I think I might want to win today. I think I might have a Super Bowl in my arsenal. I think I might want to win. No, what they did was they were deliberate about winning. They were strategic about winning. They said in their mind that they were going to win. You know what separated them, though, from the winners and the losers and the people who got 6 rings and the one who got 0 rings, the one who gets the gold jacket and walks into the Hall of Fame and the one who is still sitting on the sidelines of their life? What is the separation factor? It is preparation. So if you're going to win in your life, if you want to get out of the hustle of your life, if you want to create an above average, extraordinary life that you know you are capable of, guess what you got to understand? That average is the enemy. Winning is deliberate. It is strategic, but preparation is the separation factor. How are you going to plan your day? How are you going to start your day? Anybody who is an extraordinary businessman or businesswoman, who has an extraordinary business, who is succeeding, who is excelling, what do they all have in common? They have a routine and they have structure. So how are you waking up every day and you don't know what you're about to do? How are you waking up every day and you don't know what you have planned out in front of you? You know, I tell people every time, I am an avid worker outer. I train every single morning. I move my body every day. I know where I am going to be at 7 a.m. every morning. I am in the gym. You know why I'm in the gym? Because out of everything that I know I cannot control, whether that's in business, whether it's in a workplace, whether that's on the road, whether I'm driving, whether that's something that I'm confronting of, whether it's a relationship, I may not be able to control any of those factors or circumstances, but the one thing I can control, I get to control me. I get to control my body. I get to control what it looks like. I get to control what goes in is what goes out, right? And so I know that in order for me to win, in order for me to be delivered, in order for me to be strategic, what does that mean? I have to prepare. I have to plan for my success. And so the first thing that we talk about, we're talking about building purpose-driven brands. If we're talking about creating legacies that outlive us, that outlast us for generations, that means I gotta be prepared. I gotta have me a plan in place. Mr. President knows, guess what? He has to have a succession plan in place. He has to know if something happens to me, this entrepreneurship assembly must go on. There has to be a plan in place. And so in order to understand winning, we got to be deliberate, we got to be strategic, but we have got to prepare to win. And so what's the first thing we can do? We can plan our day. We talk about building a brand. How are you going to build a brand if you haven't built yourself? How are you going to build a brand? How are you going to encourage clients and you haven't encouraged yourself? How are you going to build an atmosphere of winning if you don't first believe you're a winner, right? And so when we talk about planning our day, I tell people this all the time, right? Why am I so such a health advocate and a warrior for health, and especially for Black women here in the United States, is because we are dying at alarming rates. Black women in the United States are considered 80% obese or overweight. Lifestyle choices. That's a choice. That's a decision. And we can talk about what our mama fed us, but now we grown and we buy our own groceries. So what are we going to do? Well, how are we going to set our day, right? And so that planning, that structure that we have every single day is important. Here's what I want you to write down. If you want to be a winner, then I need you to get into the 4% club. If you are going to be a winner, I want you to get into the 4% club. And you're going to say, Brandi, what's the 4% club? I ain't never heard of the 4% club. What is the 4%? What do you mean? Because 1 hour out of every day is 4%. 4%. 1 hour of your 24 hours is 4%. Now, some of y'all gonna go get your calculators out and you're gonna do the math. You say, well, Brandi, it's just a little like a point something over it. But here's what the bottom line is. It's 4%. And if you aren't willing to start your day and give yourself 4%, how are you going to give the world your best? We talk about tithes, we talk about offering when we get into religious and spaces of religiosity. Guess what? And they say you gotta tithe 10%. You got to give the church, you got to give God 10% of your earnings before you go give anything else, right? What if you started to give yourself 4% of your day? What if you began to set your day in such a way that every day I give 4%? You know why it's so important to give 4%? Because I told you winning is deliberate, winning is strategic, preparation is the separation factor. Guess what's going to separate you if you look better in business? Y'all like, wait a minute. Brandi, did she say it? I sure did. You know what's going to be a separation factor? If you look better when you walk in. Because there is something to be said about the person who has confidence. There's something to be said about a man that walks in and knows that he is fit in his suit, in his jacket, and he is tailored and he is dressed down. He got the drip on. He know he popping. He know he fly. He know he's that guy. It's something to be said about the confidence of that man when he walks into a room versus a man who is not taking care of himself, who is not giving himself 4%, who doesn't choose to manage what goes in his mouth so he can manage what comes out of his mouth. There is something to be said. There is a difference maker. There is a shift that happens when a man and a woman takes control and credence and precedence over their own life and their own body, right? And so that 4%, for all my people who say I want to be extraordinary, for all the people who said average is the enemy, guess what that means? That means you have now entered in the 4% club. That means for every day you get to move your body. Every day you are saying, you know what, 1 hour is mine. You know why that hour is so important? You know why that hour is so important? Because nobody else is the benefactor of that hour but you. All the other things that you do in your life, all the ways that you give to other people, whether it's your husband, your family, your children, your business, your clients, all the people in your school, in your church, in your community, you give to them and they get to reap a reward of your gift to them, right? But what if you started to say, wait a minute, instead of hustling my way every single day, and instead of grinding my way every single day, wait a minute, I'm gonna walk into the 4% club. Because that 1 hour, you don't get to email me, you don't get to talk to me, you don't get to break into my day. And every rep that I give myself is my reward. You are the sole benefactor of every rep. So when you in there counting them reps, I don't need you up in there, oh my God, I hate being up in a gym. I hate being up in a... How you mad when every rep is your reward? Every time you think about doing a curl, a lunge, a bicep, a squat, guess what? I get every one of those reps is mine. It's in the bank for me. I don't have to give it to nobody else. I have to pawn it off to nobody else. I get to take it and I get to build myself in such a way that I'm going to walk in the next room, in the next meeting, in the next situation as a bigger, better version of myself. How many people are tracking with me? I need you to go ahead and drop me something in the chat. Okay, look, we got the hands up. Come on, hands up. Listen, it's some people gonna say, Brandi, I'm not trying to get no 4% club. I don't have to work out. It's okay. You're gonna be in the boat of mediocrity with the other people. I'm gonna just go ahead and keep it real because there's something about a person that jumps out of the comfort zone. There is something to be said for the person who chooses to walk on water in their life. See, because you know what's the difference? I'm gonna go ahead and keep it biblical, right? Let me go ahead and drop that biblical analogy for you, for some of y'all who need a spiritual antidote today. The story in the book of Matthew, when they're in the boat and Peter's in the boat and they're in the boat and the boat is on the very rocky wave. It's in the middle of the night. Let me give y'all a little backstory to this. Here's the thing. Jesus was a ways away from what was happening on the water. You know why Jesus was a ways away? Because he had just come off of performing a miracle. You know what happens when you perform a miracle and you know when you done turn water into wine in your own life, you need to go take a rest, right? So he was already performing miracles. He said, I'm gonna leave y'all to it. I need to go be by myself for a minute. I gotta go catch my breath. I gotta go remind myself of who I am. I gotta go be one with the Father. And so he goes off. And so now it's the middle of the night and the waves are crashing. Isn't it something to be said about the middle of the night when things, you start to toss and turn in your own life? It usually happens in the middle of the night, right? It usually happens when you can't sleep and something's keeping you up. And so here they are in the boat and there's a storm and the waves are crashing and I can't see my way. And here comes Jesus walking on the water. And here's what happens. What happens? Peter says, Lord, if it's really you, is it you? Hold up, Jesus. Is that you? I don't know. Is it you? If it's you, tell me to come. We always get an invitation to be great. We always get an invitation. You got an invitation today on a Saturday evening to be great in your life. So everybody gets the invitation. And so Jesus, Peter says, Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come. And what does Jesus say? He says, come. And Peter gets out of the boat and he starts to walk on water. But what happens? When does he start to sink? He starts to sink when he starts to doubt himself. See, what happens in your life is that you start out on the path. You have gotten the vision. It seems very clear. God has already promised you what it is. You said, Lord, I know this is what I got. I've seen the vision. I saw the outcome. I saw the clients. I saw the money. I saw it all coming. God, I got a vision, and I got out of the boat. But because you have been so used to sitting around mediocre people, because you got around people who never saw the potential of a 4% club, because you got around people who said, why would you want to go do that? Ain't nobody ever done that. Why do you think it's possible? You get on the water of your life and then you start to sink because you lose faith in your own ability. I'm here to tell you that everybody gets the invitation to be great, but you choose to walk the water that it takes to be great. What are you going to do in your life? Are you going to hustle? Are you going to bustle? Are you going to wait around? Are you going to let for another invitation to pass you by? Or are you going to get out of the boat of mediocrity in your life, take the reins of your life and walk on water? Winning is deliberate. Winning is strategic. Preparation is the separation factor. See, Peter failed to realize that he was already prepared. Because what did Jesus say to him when he started to sink? He said, oh, ye of little faith, why did you doubt? So you can think about all the times when you started to stop. You said, man, if I would have just kept going. Imagine where I would have been. You can look around at the people who are sitting around you who started businesses and they started at the same time as you, but somewhere you gave up and they kept going. We can all look at those moments in our lives and confront ourselves in the mirror. I want you to understand, average will always be your enemy. But winning is deliberate. It is strategic. It takes planning. It takes preparation. And the first thing that you have control over to fight average in your life is you got control over you. You get to get out of the bed every single day and make a decision. Here's what I need you to write down. Transformation begins with a decision. See, Peter had a moment of transformation. He made a decision to get out the boat. That's the first step. But imagine what would have happened if Peter kept walking. He would have saw a bigger transformation in his life. So I need you to understand that when you wake up in the morning, I need you to have a plan for your day. How do you fight average in your life? How do you get away from the hustle and bustle of your life where you can stop feeling so burnt out and so tired and exhausted about everything that you are doing? Number one, you're going to plan your day. As simple as this sounds, I know it sounds so simple. You're like, Brent, you telling me that if I just start off with a plan for my day, baby, I could win. You can at least win the day. You can at least win the day. And here it is. Winning is just strategic move after move, decision after decision, day after day. It is not perfection every day. A purpose action. You just got to learn that there has consistency over intensity. You got to get consistent. That every day is not the best workout. Every day is not going to be the best day in the office. Every day is not going to be the best day of sales. Every day is not going to be the best. But if I'm willing to make the same decision to get up and get out of that boat of mediocrity the next day, and I make a decision to get up and get out of the boat the next day, then these strategic steps over and over and over, guess what they lead to? They lead to your promised land. They lead to your destiny. They lead to you fulfilling your purpose. So all the people who are just flying by night and flying by the seat of their pants and saying, oh, I just wing it. I love that for you. I love that for you. You know, all the little girls say, I love that for you. The young girls, I love that for you. Okay, I love that for you if you are winging it. I love that for you if you flying by the seat of your pants. But here's what I do know. Structure holds the key to your freedom. Structure holds the key to your freedom. If you do not have structure in your day, you are disarming yourselves with the keys to your freedom. Every time you say, I'm just gonna wing it, I'm gonna see what happens today. Yeah, we love spontaneity. We love adventure. Yes, we do. Honey, please meet me with a spontaneous date day, okay? Yes, I will be ready, okay? Meet me. I will meet you there. You come pick me up, sit in the black car, right? We love spontaneity. But here's what we also know, that there is power and freedom in routine and structure. And there are some non-negotiables that you are gonna have to set throughout your day. And so like I told you before, 7 a.m. every single day, I know exactly where I am. I know what time I get up in the morning, right? 5:30 a.m. the alarm goes off. 7 a.m. I'm in the gym, right? I don't have my phone. Everybody knows you don't talk to Brandi till 9 o'clock. That's just what it is. I'm not talking to you. You can send me the message, baby. I'm gonna get it when I come out of that gym. After I train and after I do that cardio, that's when you can start talking to me. So maybe 8:30, maybe 8:45, we can start having a conversation, right? Because I've set non-negotiables in my day, and that's how I plan to win. So how are we gonna fight the average in our lives? Average is the enemy. We gotta understand that winning is deliberate, winning is strategic, but preparation is gonna be our separation factor. That is gonna be the thing that pushes you over the edge. If you want to build a purpose-driven brand or a purpose-driven life, you're going to have to plan your day. You're going to have to plan your day. But here's what I want you to know. You are capable of more. You are capable of more. That is a mantra that can take you anywhere, right? Because you can remind yourself in the middle of the hard times, I'm capable of more. And here's why capable became such a great word for me in this season. Because when you look up the synonyms of capable is proficient, efficient, effective, qualified, talented, practiced, masterly, able. So when you talk about how you're capable of more, it means I'm skilled for more, I'm masterly for more, I'm proficient for more, I have more in the tank. What am I going to do in my life that says average is always going to be my enemy? Because guess what? I'm capable of more. I'm capable of more in my life. I'm capable of doing more. I'm capable of having more. I'm capable of becoming more. I'm capable of being more. But it starts with what? A decision for more. You can't get more thinking about less. You ain't going to get more in your life thinking about the less that you have. You ain't gonna get a better situation thinking about what happened in the last one, right? If I'm capable of more, that means I can't win by winging it. If I'm capable of more, that means I can't win by winging it, because I know that it's deliberate to win. It's strategic to win. It takes some preparation to win. So I'm no longer gonna win in my life by winging it, because I can. I'm capable of more. And because I'm capable of more, that means I get to plan my day. Because I'm capable of more, that means I'm gonna get in the 4% club, and I'm gonna start setting an hour every day for myself. Because I'm capable of more, I'm gonna start drinking my water, and I'm gonna start minding my business. You know what I'm saying? They said that's a key, right? They said it's a key. You drink your water and you mind your business, okay? Listen, they said there's some keys up in there, right? So we're not just, it's not about just moving your body. What is it about? It's about moving your mind. Because when you have this confidence in yourself, when you remove those limiting beliefs, when you challenge the beliefs of the people around you and the things that you've been carrying around for your entire life, guess what you find out? Wait a minute, there's more in the tank. I'm capable of more. It's not about just moving my body. It's about me shifting my mind to the next level. It's not just about drinking our water. It's about, do I have the capacity to walk on water? See, when I told my audience about this challenge, it was like, Brandi, I can't drink a gallon of water. I got a job. I said, well, you ain't been drinking none. So let's just start. You ain't been drinking none. Listen, you've been Coca-Cola it down, baby. Okay, listen, you ain't been drinking enough, right? So this isn't just about drinking the water. It's about, if my body is 70 to 75% water, why wouldn't I need no water? If my body is made up of 70 to 75% water, why am I telling myself I can't drink no water? Baby, I'm made of it. Because I'm made of the water, baby, I know I can walk on the water. Why don't we start thinking about it, not just about let me do cardio every single day? No, let's talk about the commitment. All right? When we talk about building brands, when we talk about building legacy, when we talk about building our lives, I need you to this is going to be my last point. We talk about I'm capable of more. This is my last point because I'm coming in on my time. I see it. Listen, I'm capable of more. Guess what? Because commitment is not a feeling, it is an agreement. Commitment is not a feeling, it is agreement. In your life, you know what's going to prepare forward in your life when you get out of your feelings. See, you keep being in your feelings every day. Well, I don't feel like going. I don't feel like that. Who are going to be over there? I don't feel like doing that. I just don't feel, I don't know if I feel like it today. The average person muddles in on their feelings. But a true leader understands that commitment is not a feeling, it is an agreement. You make an agreement with greatness. You make an agreement to go the distance. You make an agreement to win. You make an agreement to go further. You make an agreement to go faster. Because this is deliberate what I'm doing. Because I'm capable of more, I'm proficient for more, I'm masterful for more, I'm skilled for more, I'm proficient for more, I got more in the tank. Guess what? Because I'm not in my feelings, I understand that I'm in an agreement with greatness. And because I'm in an agreement with greatness, that means mediocre things, mediocre people, mediocre distractions, mediocre things that I used to do, baby, I can't do it no more because I'm in an agreement with greatness. I know I used to go over there. I know I used to eat those things. I know I used to talk like that. I know I used to say those things, but I can't do it anymore because I'm in an agreement with greatness. And because I'm so deliberate about winning, because I understand that average will forever be my enemy. I refuse to stay in a boat of mediocrity when there is the possibility that I can walk on water. Average is the enemy. Winning is deliberate, it is strategic, but you got to prepare to win. You got to plan your day. You got to understand that you are capable of more, but you got to get out of your feelings. Because commitment is not a feeling. It is an agreement. I can't win by winging it. I got to have some preparation. I can't win by doing the things I used to do. I got to remove the distractions. I can't win by how I used to be, baby. I got to get in shape because God said I might have to run to go get my blessing. So I got to have some endurance. Listen, I might have to go get somebody off of me to go get my blessing. That means I got to have some leg strength, right? Because I'm not in my feelings, I'm in an agreement with greatness. And because God might require me to run, baby, I got to know that I'm capable of more. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.